Madam Mayor, Professor van Vollenhoven, Peter Dentek. It is my honor to speak today on behalf of all the families here whose pilots spoke so eloquently with their heroic action 72 years ago. Frank Reynolds, Doug Phillips, Jack Lund, Richard Lusinski, Basil Scharf, Robert Martin, and Richard Brown. I hope to express for all their families our heartfelt gratitude to the honor being so graciously given to our relatives here today. All of us feel deep and warm appreciation towards Peter, the foundation, and the people of the Netherlands on three distinct levels. First, at the individual level, each of us has been personally delighted to find out more about the experience our family members had here during the war. I'm sure my father was typical of many of those being remembered today in how little he spoke about his war experience. So we were astounded and moved when Peter's comprehensive research uncovered incredible details, including pictures, parts of his plane, eyewitnesses who saw the plane crash and his capture by the Germans. Serendipitously, one of those witnesses was John Gauss, who flew with him. My brother, Steve, and I, and Peter were able to meet with him in Colorado. He's perfectly lucid, charming, funny, and full of war stories. My favorite one is they're taking everything possible out of the P-38s, loading it with coffee in England, and flying to Portugal to trade the coffee for wine. They had to land in a field not long enough to take off again. So they ran the planes off cliffs over the ocean to get enough lift to be airborne. John has asked me to read the following message to you all gathered here today. I am greatly honored and extremely grateful to be invited to this event. I truly wish I could be with you today. But at my age of 94, I feel the long trip is unrealistic. I will instead share in this letter a few of my thoughts with you. Nearly a year ago, I was greatly and pleasantly surprised by a phone message from Paul Brown calling about a World War II article in our local newspaper. He said his father's P-38 was shot down over Holland on its return to England in escort with P-51s. His question was, "Are you that John Gauss who flew with my father on that mission?" I am that John Gauss. And suddenly, to my surprise, my memory came back to me vividly of an event in World War II that occurred some 70 years ago. After completing our assignment, we were on low altitude flight back to England when I spotted a man in a field below us, holding what I thought was a shovel. As we flew over him, I realized it was a rifle, and he was firing at us. Richard's plane was hit. He was left with two difficult choices: fly to a higher altitude and bail out, or crash landing. Excuse me. I've since been told that Richard probably avoided bailing because he was afraid of heights. Richard chose to crash land. We saw the plane hit the ground and Richard climb out as we circled overhead. The last I heard from Richard was when he radioed to us, "I'm okay, I'm okay." I had presumed Richard had not survived the war all these years. Another surprise to me was that so many records still remain. From the meticulous research conducted by Peter Dentek and others to reconstruct these events, an accurate historical account is constructed. I extend my sincere gratitude to those involved for their worthy efforts.
Yeah.
To prevent forgetting these World War II events that happened here. I am most thankful that my own two sons, Mark and Steve, have been able to meet Peter and Richard's sons. It is quite wonderful for me that our sons now have a clear sense of what occurred to their fathers those 70 long years ago. If I could have one final wish granted about this whole affair, it would be that I could fly again a successful escort mission with Richard Brown over the beautiful country of Holland. Thank you. And it's signed, John Gauss. These sorts of details, perhaps never known or long forgotten, bring to life what the pilots of 5 planes that came down here experienced. They show us that war is not an abstraction. There were real people who fought to decide the fate of the whole world. Besides feeling great warmth for the appreciation of the Dutch on a personal level, we family of today's honorees are also grateful at a national level. Each of us derives a sense of national pride from the contribution our various countries made to the war effort, so acknowledgement of that participation by a country that experienced it firsthand is especially sweet. Holland's gratitude becomes part of our national histories to be passed down generations. In the United States, we refer to those who fought in the Second World War as the greatest generation. I don't believe our European counterparts have officially named their World War II generation, but I'm sure they find the title fits. Alas, I am not sure that my generation could have or would have accomplished such a Herculean task. Honor, strength, and sacrifice are losing the esteem they once had for the generation who liberated Europe. I am confident I speak for all of today's guests and for all of their nations in hoping that America shall continue to have the fortitude to join with our European forebears as bastions of individual rights and defenders of freedom throughout the world. At a third level, beyond the personal and national, this ceremony, museum, and the gathering of representatives of embassies of 4 different countries is a testament to the comity of civilization that defeated fascism and ensured that freedom would survive in the world. Affirmation that international coordination in the name of enlightened ideals and against a powerful adversary is possible. The Netherlands and Poland felt the full brunt of the Nazi occupation and its attendant horrors. England suffered the terrible bombings of the Blitz, but the whole world was affected. 60 million deaths worldwide, the estimate of human cost of that assault on freedom. And 60 million leaves us all a debt we could never repay. But knowing those we honor here now, our fathers, uncles, and grandfathers, paid what they could and paid so bravely, leaves us all proudly feeling kinship with the side of good in history. One of the greatest revelations of this experience for my family, and I am sure for the other families here today, whose connection to World War II has been so deepened by Dutch altruism on our behalf, has been discovering how wholeheartedly Nederlanders appreciate what was done to liberate their country. These people have not forgotten the cost of losing freedom. New streets in their towns are being named after these heroes to Holland. The honor and the care they give to the graves of the Allied soldiers is profoundly moving to us. So too is the effort by Peter and the Foundation to tell the next generation that freedom, mankind's best idea yet, is not guaranteed. Threats to it surround us still. This memorial attests to the defense of freedom in Lingenthal. May the whole world join with Holland to Geef Vrijheid door, pass on freedom.